Hi there, good morning, welcome back. You're still watching Prime Morning. My name is Zach Busbao. It's time for our discussion segment. We are about to get into some very pertinent issues that have unfolded. Now, once again, we'd love to hear from you, so stay interactive. Send us your messages on WhatsApp, on Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook, even on YouTube, make sure to leave your messages there. And of course, we'll gladly read them in the course of the show. I want to say a big thank you to Franco Trading Enterprise for their support. Really appreciate, so make sure you get in touch with them and patronize their products. We've got amazing tablets, really nice laptops and mobile phones, so get in touch with them and they'll sort you out big time. And of course, also to our 150 exhibitors at the Joy Business EcoBank SME Fair that took place on Friday to Sunday. Congratulations to all of you and thank you very much for coming on board. We're looking forward to many more years of working with you, to all the vendors, to all the clients that came around to purchase one or two products. Thank you for coming through. It was a really nice event, so we're looking forward to more of same. Now, let's get into it. Our discussion now is still with me, Honorable Ebenezer Nate, former MP for Ablekumo Central. He is in studio with me. Honorable, good morning. Good to have you.
Good morning, Zach.
Yeah, good to have you. We also got lawyer Theophilus Dzimega, and he is a member of the NDC Communications Team, and it's really a pleasure to have you. Counsel.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you again.
Pleasure. How are you doing today?
Awesome. I'm good. I'm doing good. All right, let's get into the newspapers very shortly. And I want to start with the Chronicle newspaper. The Chronicle newspaper has got former workers demand instant payment from Heath Goldfields. Yes, I remember we did the story on Friday. They're asking for their severance pay to be given them. And then police bust wee Bisman in Ashaiman. Well, interesting. Ashaiman and police wee Bisman. Interesting. Then setting the record straight, addressing the health minister's inaccurate statement and allegations concerning light wave. There's a whole story on that on page 8, and we'll see. But on the matter relating to wee Bisman in Ashaiman, the police arrested a man identified as Francis Alidu in connection with consignment of compressed dried leaves suspected to be cannabis. The arrest was made in the night of Friday. And according to dependable deep throat source of the police headquarters, the police in Ho had apprehended a driver and of a Ashaiman suspected of transporting the narcotics. And during the interrogation, the driver was named as the consignee there. So interesting. Well, so that is that. The police continue to arrest people for possessing weed. The Inside newspaper has SNIT urges pensioners to use digital channels for quick services. And then Africa must fund its own education. That's Deputy Minister for Education, Clement Park, insisting. And Mahama acts falls. SML contract terminated. New LI table to revoke mining in forest reserves. Of course, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, I think on Friday or Thursday, indicated that finally they've laid that before Parliament, and we'll see how that travels in Parliament. We'll be following it closely also. Then the slow collapse inside Ukraine's fading war effort, and Mahama's investment drive gains momentum with Indian giants on the horizon, and rice farmers cry over poor market, urge government support. Wow. Almost all farmers are crying. Maize farmers are asking government to support them because there's been excess maize and they need government to buy it. And here we have rice farmers also asking government to support them. In fact, some of the farmers have threatened that they'll boycott the Farmers' Day in December if government does not come to their aid. Really interesting. Then let's go to the Publisher newspaper. It has Chinese takeover, put 1,000 Panbros jobs at risk. Interesting. Then I came to serve, not to enrich myself, that's according to Dr. Baumia, as he continues his tour in the various regions. Well, he was in the Ahafu region recently. We'll see how all of that goes. S. Gracia, Mahama pays MPs, snaps others. Interesting, on page 2. Wow. It says that that's a news desk report by the publisher. It said President Mahama's government has paid members of the 8th Parliament their emolument as gratia for 2021 to 2025, but has yet to settle those of the former president, vice president, and other executive members and the Council of State. A response to a right to information request by Ghanaian citizen Kofi Asare confirmed that MPs and the Speaker have received their ex gratia. The reply from Parliament dated 14th October 2025 and signed by the Deputy Clerk stated that the House transmitted the formal determination of the Article 71 emolument approved during its 399th sitting on January 6 to the President the same day. Parliament explained that while it has not received confirmation from either Ministry of Finance or Controller and Accountant General on implementation of the Article 71 emolument determined, it said this confirms the legislature has been paid while the former president and vice president are yet to receive theirs. Well, that's an interesting one there. Okay, let me take you to the Economy Times also. It says banks' profit jumps near 50% amidst all-time low private sector credit to GDP gap. And Ghana plans to link intra-African debit card with mobile money. This will be really good to be able to transfer money, mobile money to straight to Nigeria, straight to South Africa. This should be the future. This will be good. This will be good. Then Ghana is first African nation to contribute to IFPIM. Mahama promises local media fund is also here. Now let me wrap it up with the Daily Graphic. And the Daily Graphic has Victory Bible Church climaxes 40th anniversary. And it's got the picture of Bishop Takia Boy, the General Overseer, and his wife, Reverend Dora Takia Boy, cutting the anniversary cake. So it's 40th anniversary of Victory Bible Church, and congratulations to Victory Bible Church and Bishop Takia Boy. And under microscope for revenue leakages, Yoko Minerals Commission probe mining companies. Well, interesting. The Minerals Commission is embarking on an audit of top mining companies across the country to tighten regulatory oversight and recover potentially lost revenue. They say the audit service, which will scrutinize the documents of relevant mining companies across a 10-year production period, will be led by government auditors, forensic accountant, and independent consultant. Wow, that's interesting. It's a meanwhile, the Yoko is conducting a parallel audit into the operations of large-scale mining companies with concessions in the country. The Yoko investigation is an extensive probe into the finances of the individual mining companies, their adherence to tax obligations, among others. Wow, interesting. We'll wait to see what they will uncover from that. This is going to be massive, massive, massive. Well, on the international front, President Donald Trump has also been threatening Nigeria that he will drop bombs, invade the country if they do not stop the activities of Islamist insurgents. He claims that Nigerians, Christians in Nigeria are under attack, and he's sending a warning to the country to ensure that those attacks cease. We know the president of Nigeria, Tinubu, has also released a statement indicating his willingness to collaborate with the USA to ensure that these matters are brought to book. But he insists that there is a high level of religious tolerance in Nigeria, and the claims by the US president is not entirely true. Interesting times also. We'll see how all of that unfolds. Now, we're going to get into our issues, but I want to bring back the story, and our senior reporter, Erastus Asare, updated us on it. And it has to do with the development in the Ahafo region, where Naimos apparently narrowly escaped attack by a mob. Really, really interesting development. Really interesting development. I'm going to share with you the update from our senior colleague here at Multimedia. And it says, Director of Operations of Naimos attacked by thugs led by a sitting member of parliament. And this story is on the page of our senior colleague, Erastus Asare Donko. It says, on Saturday, 1st November 2025, the Director of Operations of the National of Naimos, accompanied by 10 soldiers, conducted a reconnaissance mission in the Ahafo region. The objective was to identify a suitable location for the permanent deployment of a Naimos Field Task Force in line with the Secretariat's strategic plan to sustain anti-illegal mining operations. It says, while traveling along the Gwaso to Hidiem Highway, the director's attention was drawn to an excavator engaged in mining along the roadside near Bronikrom. The team diverted to the location and apprehended several individuals actively mining. The director instructed the suspect to refill the pit they had dug to prevent further environmental degradation. The director then ordered one of the arrested persons to call the site owner. The first individual to arrive identified himself as a defense intelligence representative from the Ahafo region. Shortly after, an individual named Alex arrived in a Toyota, arrogantly claiming ownership of the site. Another man arrived later in a Range Rover and was also arrested. While at it, the Naimos Field Task Force set ablaze shelters used as offices and shelters by the illegal miners. A search of the suspect vehicles led to a shocking discovery. The team found one Smith & Wesson pistol, two pistol magazines and 21 rounds of 9mm ammunition, 12 assorted mobile phones, a black side bag, cash amounting to 11,000 Ghana cedis, one power bank, and a Lexus ignition key. It says, while arrangements were being made to convey the suspect to Hidiem Police Station, the Member of Parliament for Esutifi North, Honorable Ebenezer Kweku Ado, arrived at the scene with several flags. The MP indicated that he was sent by Honorable Collins Dauda for the area, and demanded that the director releases the arrested kingpins, including Ebokinabe, immediately and remove their handcuffs, arguing that he did not want the locals to see them in handcuffs. The director politely declined the unlawful request, maintaining that the arrests were appropriate and that the right procedure be followed through to the police. Subsequently, the MP and the thugs became violent and forcefully snatched the handcuff keys from one of the soldiers and took the handcuffs off the kingpins before chasing the Naimos team whilst going to the police station. Upon arrival at the Hidiem police station to lodge a report and hand over the suspect and exhibit, a crowd of about 600 people from Hidiem and nearby communities surrounded the police station. The mob, incited by Honorable Ebenezer Kweku Ado, demanded the immediate release of the arrested suspect and seized vehicles. They warned that they would discipline the soldiers if their demands were ignored. The situation quickly turned more violent. The director of operations, Toyota Hilux pickup, was vandalized, and the mob threatened to burn down the police station, even when the MP was reminded to call his mob to order. The tense standoff created a threat to life and property, placing immense pressure on both the Director of Operations of Naimos and the police officers on duty. Responding to a distress call, Chief Superintendent Prince Edum Kodia, the Ahafo Regional Crime Officer, led a 50-member regional task force headed by Inspector Ofosu to reinforce the local police. They were supported by Superintendent John Atanga, Divisional Commander for Gwaso, Superintendent Opoku Yamwa, District Commander for Kenyasi, and other senior officers. Even with the reinforcement, the atmosphere remained extremely volatile. The Zongo Chief of Hidiem, Alhaji Muhammad Bishiru, stepped in and appealed to the crowd to remain calm. However, as night approached and power went out, tensions heightened further. To prevent bloodshed and protect lives, a joint decision was made by the police, the military, and the Zongo chief to release the keys to the seized vehicles in order to calm the crowd. The Zongo chief then offered his Toyota 4x4 to evacuate Colonel Bois, the Director of Operations, and officers to safety at the Newmont site in Kenyasi and the police escort. During the evacuation, the police were physically attacked and the chief's vehicle rear windscreen was shattered. Thankfully, no injuries were recorded. The Director of Operations described the MP's action to influence the release of the suspect as unfortunate and a serious obstruction of Naimos operations, and emphasized that the fight against illegal mining requires all citizens, especially influential figures in the society, to act on the side of the law, not to shield offenders or incite rogues to obstruct justice as happened at Hidiem. Meanwhile, the Naimos officials, including the director, were all safely escorted out of the chaotic situation unharmed due to the professionalism and tactful management of the crisis by the director and Hidem Ahafo Police. It says Naimos remains poised despite the unfortunate incident and warns all galamseyers to resist from any such act in the future. So that is the development, and this is the report by a senior colleague, Erastus Asari on this one. We'll try and reach him later on the show to further appreciate how all of this happened. This is completely unacceptable. Well, I'm just going to get just brief thoughts on this, and then we'll get into our main conversation today. Well, the Deputy General Secretary of the United Party has joined us. He's in a very nice Batakari outfit and very colorful also. It hasn't got yellow in it though.
It has
but
yellow, please.
Okay.
Without yellow.
he's got a little yellow in there, and it's good to have you, Nanaya Safwan. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Well, good to see you.
Yeah,
good to see you. It's a
Yeah.
really good week.
It's
It's
been.
Yeah.
Until last night, it was a good, beautiful week. When I had heard about the passing away of a mate of mine, and then just when I was about putting my phone down, then I read the news about Hidem Ahafo, what I would term an irresponsible behavior of men who have power to help us deal with issues. I mean, but I think we would come there.
Yeah. Well, we are starting. We want to get a few thoughts on it, then we'll get into our main topic. So maybe let me start with you, since you've mentioned on it.
Yes, thank you very much, and a good morning to my senior colleagues here. I believe that if what I read was true, or is true, that indeed those military men were members of the Naimos, and if indeed it is true that the MP walked there, that the suspects who were involved in Galamsey or suspected to be involved in Galamsey were released, and if indeed he was involved in the mobilization of the mob, of the people to attack security personnel who have been mandated by Ghanaians to deal with the issues of Galamsey, then that was an irresponsible act. And I think that he should be arrested and further investigation should go into it. And I do not think even the Speaker of Parliament would condone to such nonsense. You understand me? We all as a nation are trying to deal with this canker of irresponsibility of certain individuals who have decided to destroy our land, who have decided to destroy our waters. If this MP, I don't know, I think he's a first timer or something, so over exuberance. Even if you wanted to act for your people to know that you are an MP whatsoever you are, there are procedures you follow. You understand me? If I do not think that if the story is true, then he is one of the persons who are behind such irresponsibility, whose political activities are being financed by Galamseyers. I have told you already on this platform. I said, I think.
But interestingly, apparently that's not even his constituency.
See, it's not whether or not it is his constituency, it is the act of using his office. And we said that if we want to deal with the issues of Galamsey, aside the campaigns who are involved, we need to be able to take actions against district chief executives, chiefs, and MPs and other officials who are involved in the dealings. If you are a DC and we find out that there are Galamseyers still operating in your district, immediately you should go home. If you are a chief, we appeal, and if you serve under Menshia, we would appeal to Asante Hindi to distool you. If you are an MP, we would appeal to the Speaker of Parliament to walk you out of Parliament. If indeed the standing orders and the Constitution allows for suspension, you should be suspended. And if indeed it is proven that your actions are criminal, then he should release you to be investigated. And if possible to be jailed? Yes.
And just to mention that we've tried reaching the Member of Parliament.
He won't pick up. Why would he?
Called him
From yesterday,
times,
almost all the media houses that have been trying to reach him have been. So hasn't he seen it?
We haven't seen a statement from his office.
No, that's what I'm saying. If these issues are true, if what we are reading in the media is true, I got the call from one of our actors in the Ahafo region who resides in VTM, and he gave me a first-hand information, even before the videos went viral. And then I even thought it was. You know, we had these issues with military, some of them trying to fake around and the police and all that. I thought it was one of those stories. Only for me to read a story from one of these top media houses confirming Erastus's narration. I was like, no, we can't. How does he help the president to deal with this matter? A member of parliament mobilizing people to attack security men, and you call yourself honorable? I just hope it's not true. I just hope it's not true. But if it is, that young man, was he responsible?
Let me come to Council now. Council, let me get your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, good morning again.
Yeah,
good morning to the viewers.
And your people in
Hohwe, in fact, we had a burial over the weekend of our constituency,
one of your constituency
youth organizers, and I thank everybody who helped to send our colleague home. And still, our prayers are with the bereaved family. Just to help a bit, Situfi North is Kenyasi, and South is Gosu.
Okay.
So Hidem is like the intersection between Gosu and Kenyasi, if you know the place very well. So, and where they said the Galamsey was taking place is between Kenyasi and Hidem. That is towards the Newmont side of situations. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to help our viewers.
So he's close. His constituency is close.
Yes,
also is quite far from where you are probably talking about Chirinsua and those.
I'm talking about. I work in Newmont for 5 years. I know that place.
And so PDM is between Gosu.
PDM is between Gosu and Kenyasi. The junction to Kenyasi, then PDM. Kenyasi, then Gosu. So Hidem is the center part. Like at Chirinsua, you get to Chirinsua before Hidem. Okay. Then you continue to go or you branch to
the story makes me understand that is where the whole incident happened.
Yeah. So the Collins Dauda area starts from the Chirinsua area all up to Gosu. Okay. The Hidem side is through Hidem and all. Yeah. So they are, let me say, sister constituencies.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
My worry and what I've picked from our various platforms is currently Honorable Collins Dauda has not said whether he actually sent the guy to do what the guy has done. And I understand that the whip is working really hard. They've been working all night to try and get to the bottom of this very disturbing story. But I can assure you that with the issues we have picked from the news items about the LI being laid to revoke the other LI, this will not be swept under the carpet. It will be dealt with. Look, this is the very way we unfortunately lost Major Mahama. Yeah. And it has brought back memories of such a disaster. So NDC as a party is not going to condone with any action of any individual if it is found that the individual is involved in this.
Because I'm just looking at the videos, when the soldiers were being escorted into the car, somebody actually...
Yes, I was coming to that. I am thinking that people like that must be picked for us to make scapegoats of persons like that, so that nobody, when the police go into an area to do their work, you don't go attacking them. That is also a bit unfortunate. Not only here, it happens everywhere. So we need to pay attention to that.
I think there was a town in the Ashanti region when the IGP Anti-Galamsey Task Force was instituted. There was one town in the Ashanti region.
Yeah,
similar incident happened.
Manson Kwantai.
Yeah, a similar incident happened.
Yes.
The policemen went there. They were chased out.
They were chased out. Yes. So they should be able to pick one or two. I mean, even if they are not able to pick everybody, pick one or two. Arraign them before court. I mean, they have very severe punishment. Just
to interject, lawyer. You see, the low-hanging fruits will not solve the situation. Who mobilized them? You understand me? These ordinary young men will not have the power to act the way they did if they did not have a backing. So who backed them?
I started by saying that...
I want us to agree that the MP, the young man who is said to have mobilized them, should be first picked. Then we will deal with the lower class.
You see.
Let's always deal with the poor.
And I'm aware that the police cannot just go pick him. And
was he on parliamentary duties?
No, honorable.
Is the mobilization part of parliamentary duties?
It is not just, you don't have necessarily have...
You hide under these articles and act irresponsibly.
Until we are able to, today it will appear this way. If it was another way, you will also say, let's do it. Let's do it properly. I mean, I have started by saying that the whip is working. Honorable is here, will tell us. They cannot just go, even here, where he's here, assuming he was still an MP. They won't just come and pick him that for the sake of we want to...
Let's read the standing orders and the act.
No, Honorable can...
It is only when they are on parliamentary duties.
You say you just want to interject me briefly.
Okay.
You have taken over from me. Let me be back to my thing. Nobody will condone what the MP is alleged to have done. Nobody. And I'm saying that His Excellency the President, even during campaign, and recently his engagement with the CSO said that they will try and chase the kingpins behind all this. So if there is an allegation currently and it appears that an MP is mobilizing persons to attack Naimos or to do what we have just seen, there's no way NDC is going to open arms and embrace such an MP. No, not at all. Indeed, there are other things, as I said. We just read that the airline has been laid to revoke the famous or infamous airline we are all asking for to be revoked. What better way than to bring this other thing that is spoiling the party that we all want to celebrate?
Because there was an issue last week. Even the minority in Parliament held a press conference. It had to do, I believe, the Brim MCE, who allegedly went to find galamseyers. Went to find galamseyers.
15,000 cities.
Went to find
and issued a receipt.
And issued a receipt.
Yes. Again, as I said, these are allegations, and they were referred to appropriate quarters to be investigated. I can assure you, these things will not be swept under the carpet. Otherwise, look, there's nobody in NDC who doesn't know that galamsey will be our outer law if we don't solve it. Everybody is aware. And that is why all these organizations, Naimos, etc., are put in place. But we cannot lose lives we have already lost 8. We cannot lose lives the way we have seen this just because somebody wants to be irresponsible. If it's that way, we throw that person under the bus for the greater good of all of us.
Let me bring Honorable in now, because, I mean, the visuals you're seeing, it took the Zongo chief to help these soldiers escape. And if you look at the faces and the anger that was on these over 600 men who had besieged the police station, I mean, nobody knows what could have happened. Nobody knows what could have happened. It's completely unacceptable. It's shocking. Honorable.
Thank you, Isaac. Let me say good morning to our viewers watching us at home and those also watching us in their offices. And good morning to my colleagues here. I like this song of Stoneboy. I'm Stoneboy fan.
Okay. Is it a song I'm thinking? Where we go around, go. Oh, no. Okay, not that one. Okay.
Nanwe wadakofa bayo. Nanwe wadakofa bayo.
Nani jere.
So that's all.
That's
all. You see, I keep on saying that in this country of ours called Ghana, we try to make everything politics. So when dealing with an issue, we find it extremely difficult to deal with it because we have a political backing. And I'm not saying because of NDC. It's both NDC and MPP. I'm saying NDC and MPP because these are the two main parties since 1992 have ruled this country.
Yeah.
When MPP person does it, MPP people will go and speak for him. When NDC person does it, it follows. So at the end of the day, we lose the substance of the issue and how to deal with it. My brother, Razak, since on the 7th of January 2025 till date, the insecurity of this country is too much.
How do you say so?
Look, I can give you not less than 5 incidents between military, police personnel, and NDC TAS. You mentioned about Ashanti region, where the same Galamsey issue, where an assemblyman also came in and was shot there by military people.
Yeah.
Because the mob of the community came out. What has happened to it? You remember the same Obuasi, when they said they have gone to Anglo-Good or whatever, their pit. What happened there? You remember the same Western region, where the Awin, member of parliament, was accused of involving himself in Galamsey to a extent where the chiefs in that community slaughter a sheep and also curse him not to bind him from coming to the community. You remember the same IGP went to the north, and later he was even promised them he would give them police recruitment. And then yesterday, this is what happened. In fact, when I wake up at dawn, and I was going through, after my normal morning devotion, going through my phone, and I was like, oh, it's one of these social media allegations that leveled against politicians. But when I was coming and listened on news, I said, really? Is that what is happening today? But I am not surprised. I'm not surprised because the national organizer of the NDC have said that President Mahama should withdraw all the military and the police personnel that have been deployed in the mining areas, because it is these people who have made some of them ministers and deputy ministers and CEOs. So what do you expect? If you have a national officer of the party, the whole Ghana national organizer of the NDC, to a extent having branches outside the country that he goes and organizes them, tells you that Mr. President, withdraw the security men from the mining areas, because these are the people who has brought us to power. Looking at what happened yesterday from your video that I'm watching right now, if the Naimos people, if they are more than 20 or 30, I heard they're about 10. If they are about 20 or 30, maybe the instant that will happen, it will be worse than this. But I thank God that despite all these things, no life has been lost.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm happy about.
Yeah.
I want to make a passionate appeal. I want to make a passionate appeal. And I repeat, a passionate appeal to the president. Unfortunately, he's not in the country. But the vice president is there.
Yeah, she's in the
I want to make a passionate appeal again to them. That if they want Ghanaians to believe them, that indeed they are prepared to fight against Galamsey, then members of the NDC, just as they claim that there are people in NPP who are doing Galamsey, and that today, Chamaun to me is facing the law, some of these people need to be dealt with. Yes, I agree with Council when he says that there are some immunity for members of parliament. You cannot just go and arrest him. But the point is that you write to the speaker that yes, we need the assistance of this member of parliament to investigate this matter that has happened in this area. And also want to appeal to Honorable Collins Dauda, one of the 7 members of parliament who has been there since 92. In fact, he's the same classmate of, how do you call it, the speaker.
Yeah.
But he lost and then he came back again. So he has been there since 92. And he has been a minister for lands and forestry. When I was in parliament, it was a ranking. I was the vice chairman, it was a ranking. And I know that he's not a type that some of us would describe as somebody who is so violent, somebody who is very principled person. So when I heard the MP saying that it's Honorable Kolezauda who's asking to go, I believe that he will just ask, oh, go and look at what is happening there. It just, oh, lawyer, I've heard that there's something going on. So since you are around, I'm not around, just go and investigate and let's see. Just as Daniel also said, maybe the MP also, as lawyer has given us the description of the area, maybe they share boundary.
They share boundaries.
Yes. So for his people to also see that he's also doing something. Oh, but maybe the approach in which he went to have an interaction with the, how do you call it, the security people, that might create the problem. But you see, when you are trying to help, and the people feel that, oh, MP has come, so they feel so big that, oh, he can deal with the situation. That's what creates some of these problems. So I want to beg my namesake. Unfortunately, I'm not doing Galamsey. And I think he is also doing Galamsey. I want to beg and also beg Honorable Kolezauda that as a matter of urgency, they should come out and let us know the truth. And let's see how best they can assess the security agencies and arrest people who are involving themselves into these acts. Because all of us seated here have been talking about it. The only thing I mean, I've been saying that the hypocrisy of not almost all of us, from the clergy to the last person, are hypocrisy. Today, when the energy at which some people, especially CSOs and men of God, the energy at which they were talking about issues a year, 2 years ago. Now, some of them, because they have been satisfied, be put on boards. I was having some banter with one, how do you call it, a pastor, very known pastor on a platform, when he was being alleged to have said that LBGT is not of importance today. When I put it on the platform, then he came to respond that is not his words. And I said, but the way and manner you were talking about it a year ago, now you have lost your voice because now you have been put on the board. So you have kept quiet.
Interesting.
There are some media people, hosts of media programs. Now you people have been giving V8 and F-150. So some of you have kept quiet. Because your colleagues have been given appointments, and some of you are waiting yours. You cannot talk. You are waiting if they disappoint you before you come and talk because you have been disappointed. But those that have been feed down,
well,
they have all kept quiet.
Well, interesting. I understand we have Erastus on the phone. Musa Dankwa has also joined us on Zoom, and we'll come to you very shortly, Musa Dankwa. Let me just speak to my senior colleague, Erastus, on this very matter. Thank you very much, Erastus, for joining us this morning. We read the entirety of your report on Facebook. Can you tell us, is there any other thing that you picked up since yesterday?
That this development is pointing to what I've been talking about all this while. And when I talk about this, well, this is everything. And I've been saying that there are people, this stuff, at the branch level, at the party level, at the president level, and military, and everybody are fighting this legal mind. It's as simple as that. And behind the scenes, some of us enjoy with it. We hear things all the time. But it's unfortunate that the people who have stated fight, you cannot come out of the nature of what it is and the hierarchy. But some of us we've been talking about that we'll continue to talk about. If you have an MP going to a site where a legally mandated agency to enforce environmental law has arrested people and then demand that the agency or the task force releases the suspects to you and hand over seized equipment. On what authority are you doing that as an MP? On what authority? It's just like going to a site and when police have arrested armed robbers, you say that I release them because I'm the MP. And then somebody who identifies himself as a defense intelligence agent is also at the scene. What links do they have with that mining which is going on in that community? So it tells you the collusion between influential people, and when you listen to my sources within the Naimos, they tell you that Honorable Collins Dauda subsequently was identified as the one who sent the people to that place. What link does this man also have, if indeed it's established that he's the one who sent them? What is his business with that illegal entity which is going on? And from what we know, the people were processing tailings. So let me tell you what happens, and it's the focus of my next documentary. Small-scale miners are now using cyanide, and they use it to process tailings. The tailings is the residue from the mining. So when the Champagne people and other people, they do what they do, the residue, they believe that there's about 70% of unrecovered gold in the tailings. And so these days, they've been buying the tailings in heaps. And then they take it to a place, use lots of cyanide to do what they call leaching, to take the gold. And that is what these people were doing at where they were stopped. You need a license to be able to do that, because the consequences of you doing that within a settlement is huge. So I'm surprised that people as prominent as the MP, as defense intelligence people, are the ones who are fueling this illegal business at that place.
But does it mean that these individuals who were arrested, based on the narration you're giving us, they were not digging like we saw, or these were different, miners?
They don't need to dig, my brother. Like I told you, whatever processing of gold you are doing in this country demands a license. If you are doing leaching, which of course is exposing the environment to contamination, you need a license from the Environmental Protection Agency, from the Minerals Commission itself, from Water Resources Commission. And they must be able to do their own checks to determine whether that place is even conducive for what you're doing, and grant you the proper license before you can do it. So I've heard people say that they were not destroying, they were not polluting water. When you work with cyanide, you're telling me that when you're working with cyanide, you don't need a license. Seriously, we must be serious in this country.
So what do you expect to happen to some of the individuals who have been mentioned, the MP, and we understand there were some.
I will go straight to the point. And it is not what I expect. It is what we, as a country, as citizens, as you, the media, this is what we should be demanding in the days ahead. This must not slide. If the president is really serious about fighting illegal mining, this is the test. What is the president going to do about it? It remains to be seen, and some of us will not rest. We will continue to push this, and I think all media houses must come on board. Let's push for the right questions to be asked, for a probe to be initiated, for anybody who was found culpable to be punished.
Well, I think that's very profound. Indeed, a proper probe into this will be laudable, and we need to do it. Erastus, thank you very much for making time on a short notice to join us. Musa Dankwa is also on Zoom. I understand, Musa Dankwa, you also want to react to this very development very briefly. Let's hear from you. If you can unmute, please. Hello, Mr. Dankwa?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You want to react to this?
No, this morning I woke up to read this story and I was shocked. And the names that were coming in the report, for me, needs to be investigated. Doesn't matter what it is. If they are doing something illegal or unlawful, or have no license as explained by Erasmus. We need to investigate that. It is not the act of digging that is the problem. It is the pollution of the environment and the water body that is the problem. So whatever form or shape that money takes, if the end result is polluting the environment, then we don't care how that mining is done. It should be investigated. Yeah. I believe, look, this is the time for the president to show teeth. Just allow proper people to take place, proper investigation to take place, so we can get to the bottom of those guys involved. We've always been saying that it is the kingpins. It is the kingpins. Are these guys the kingpins or what? We need to get to the bottom of it.
Interesting. Let's just link it to, our other issue having to do with the tenure of the presidents. I mean, often there are questions about political will to deal with some of these issues. There are questions about government's plans and the programs they have, and as to whether the term limit we currently have in our constitution is sufficient for them to execute it. We know the former President Kufuor mooted an idea of a certain 6-year tenure, even considering a 5-year tenure. A 6-year not renewable tenure that has come up once upon a time. Even some have called for a 5-year renewable tenure to be extended from 4 to 5 years. ClockSAG have also revisited that conversation, and they have their own views on it. We've had some members of the clergy also mooting the idea we should have a 6-year not renewable tenure, as is done in some other jurisdiction. I mean, do you think our current presidential tenure in any way inhibits the presidents from executing their programs to the full?
Look, the question we should be asking ourselves first is, why are they asking for a longer tenure of office? To do what? The problem I can see is that we lack developmental framework, an enforceable one. One that every party has to follow, regardless of whatever agenda you have as a political party. In trying to solve that, we rather leave the problem and go and touch the term of the president as the solution. It doesn't end anything. It will not end anything. The fundamental problem is lack of developmental framework that is enforceable. If we have a framework that can be enforced at the national, regional, and the MMDA's level, backed by law, that no party can just throw that in the bin. That is the beginning of the solution that we are trying to find for that kind of problem. Look, what I've seen is that across the African continent, most of the countries have 5-year term. Few have 7-year term, and so on and so forth. What I can see is probably trying to align with the continent. In terms of justification, frankly speaking, you give someone even 7 years. If he's a failed president, he wouldn't do anything. If the base of which we can develop as a country is lacking, you can give somebody 40 years, he wouldn't do anything. He would just be a dictator. So look, let's not try to fix a problem that is not, through the top level, but at the grassroots, at the local level. Go to the framework of the development plan. Rawlings had a 30-year plan. Where was it by the time he left office? We have so many plans. They end up in the bin. That is the fundamental problem we need to address.
But the point about the framework, very laudable. However, for these political parties, for them to be able to win power, they often come up with their own ideas relative to how they want to develop the country. We saw the message of President Mahama in 2016, in 2020, in 2024. And if your message is just going to be hinged on the framework, as you put it, then people will wonder, why should we vote for you? They want to be given room to dream big and come out with wild policies and chart their own course of development for the country.
Look, the framework or the plan gives us the broader approach of development. And the manifestos must tell us how they intend to get there. You can go to Kumasi through Central Region and get to Kumasi. You can go to Kumasi through the Norman Koko route. You can go to Kumasi through other routes. So it's the route you take us through to get to the final destination is what matters. If we don't have a plan, look, we all need roads. Doesn't matter what government we have. We all need health facilities. No matter what government we have, we all need certain things. These are the framework. We're going to have X here, Y there, X here. Those are the big things we need to do to change this country. All these small things are just peripherals around the big things. We can do that. If we fail to do that, it doesn't matter how many years you keep the president, he won't do FOCO.
Interesting. Let me bring Naimos Escape in now. People say a current system, the first year, the president is using it to, get his government in order, and everybody makes the argument, well, it's just the first year, so he's trying to get appointment, everything. And up to now, the president is still making appointment here and there, so they make that argument. Then the final year, they say, is campaign season. It's campaign season. So they say if you look at it realistically, the president has got just about maybe 2.5 years to govern within the 4-year tenure. So they say, well, let's give him some extra time.
I always, when others have argued it's 2.5 years, I tell them it's 2 years.
2 years.
Because I tend to agree with President Kufuor during his final address in Parliament in 2009 January, when he had stated or suggested that there was a need for them to have an extension of the number of years for the president to serve his nation. And I agree when researchers like Musa Dankwa and co are saying that, yes, indeed, what President Kufuor said is true. The very first year, that is where every government used to settle in. Zach, you see, when you are voted in as president and you win, if you notice, if you are not careful, the first 3 months, you might not be able to have any, without apologies, meaningful meetings or discussions with your people. You understand? From the day you win to when you are sworn in and a month or two after, it is meet and greet. Everybody wants to come in. Everybody wants to see you. People are lobbying. People want positions. Your party needs to settle. You understand? This time we didn't see much of the thank you tour because intermittently there were breaks and other things. But before, it was a stretch. And so you would have about 4, 5 months, 6 months of a thank you tour, which more or less is also another form of campaign, especially when the person has to seek for re-election. All right.
You need to touch base with the people.
Yes, and if you look at our developmental issues and policy implementations, just as Musa Dankwa has stated, we need a solid plan. When we're campaigning during the just ended elections, I think that Alan Chamantin has stated that there was a need for us to have a consolidated plan, all right? A plan of us wanting to get to a particular point. If we say we are moving Ghana into an industrialization economy, what are the major and the key factors? What would make us attain that industrialization goal? Let us consolidate that into a plan. And so if you took our manifesto, we said that we didn't have a manifesto, but what we had was the Great Transformational Plan. And then we had intentions of making Parliament adopt it as a national plan in moving us forward, so that there will be no fear of continuity. Now, you would notice that most governments or administrations find it difficult to continue the developmental project of ex-while administrations. And so you would find out that most of the projects that were started by His Excellency John Ejekun Kufuor were literally abandoned those years, all right? Because every government would want to have a name, to make a name, to leave a legacy. And so the policy thinkers and the drafts and implementers will tell you that, listen, Mr. President, if you do not have your own projects, if you do not have your own developmental goals and you want to go and continue the projects of your predecessor, everybody is going to say that those are not your projects. And you hear it in our political discourse.
Absolutely.
All right. Somebody will tell you that recently, I think there was a project that is being continued, one of these roads. And you find the MPP in Parliament and they come out and they say that we started it, the money was there already. And so what? are we developing a nation or we are developing individual?
And I was just
thoughts?
checking. As far as you make the point about we need a national development plan. In fact, we have a plan. The National Development Planning Commission has a plan. You call it Vision 2057. But Musa Danquah makes a very profound point about the fact that it's not binding on the political party.
That is a point.
It's not binding on them.
Have you had time to go through the document? You understand? Brother, we are talking about a plan, not promises and those stuff. And in my earlier submission, I said that it should be binding on us. So anybody who takes office as president should be binded by law to continue those projects. Yes, you can have your own policy. You can come along with your own agenda also because of, not all of us, we from the United Party says that we are a centric party. We have those who are left center, we have those who are right center. They all have their ideologies and the way they want to go. Coming into the office as a president, you also have your own plan. But having a plan, all right, on your own should not supersede that of the nation, which is binding.
So your plan should come out of
so
the
your
national
plan should be able to fit into what we have. Otherwise, look at our plan as a nation and extract something as your focus. Until then, we will be beating around the bush every time. Yes, if we have that going, I would then tend to agree with Musa Danquah that the 4 years would be enough because at least there is already a moving vehicle. And so we know where we are going and then we push it. But I still belong to the school of thought that at least a year or two should be added.
A year or two should be added to the 4 year.
To the 4 year.
Renewable or not renewable?
Well, renewable, of course.
5 years renewable or 6 year renewable?
No, renewable. I mean,
100 years, right, to be the same.
Renewable. All right. But when you have done it without proper structure, as we are discussing now, it will be same, even if you give the person the entire 40 years or 50 years to lead. But just to wrap up on it, that I believe that this call, because when I was coming, I was listening to other media houses. This particular call, let us have it at the back of our mind that even the President Mahama has stated emphatically that he is not seeking another tenure in office. So let us look at it without political colors. All right, let us take out the political coloring and then do this discussion or national dialogue with a nationalistic mind and with a transformational thinking. Then we would go somewhere.
All right, Council, let me bring you in on this. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, my personal stand.
Yeah.
I believe that's not the party's stand.
Fair enough.
Personal stand is
Fair enough.
stances. Even if you give somebody 100 years, the person will come back and say, you should have given me 110 years anyway. So our democracy is built on what we have seen others have done. We did not invent it. It is not new to us. Until recently, the British have also started to have fixed term for their prime ministers. The Americans have it, the French have it. I mean, it's global. Now, this year, this last election is one of the fastest. The signs were there that NDC was going to win. You saw that they quickly made available they got their ministers nominated quickly, appointments were being done quickly. Maybe we should build on that. Now, Musa Danquah said something which I believe my brother Nana already avert his mind to, is the fact that we should have a proper national development plan. So what goes on is, it's only the way you implement the plan that should differ. And if we have such a thing in place that we have all agreed that this is our 5-year development plan, 10-year development plan, perhaps you might not be too old to remember Vision 2020. Now, we have passed 2020. And that vision has not come to fruition. We have had others. I mean, I'm talking from the NDC point of view. When the last Dr. Thompson and the rest were in office, they got one. That has also gone. That has not been implemented now, NDC. So it is time we have a roundtable discussion to say, let us look at our developmental plans. All those center left, far right, left center, right-wing politics or in this part of our world means nothing. MPP that appears to be non-socialist implement a lot of things that you see. You sit back and ask yourself, are these real socialists, non-socialists? NDC does the same thing. They also implement things that you'll be asking yourself, are these real socialists? So it is just, we are at a stage where development is very important. And our type of development, perhaps we carve one for ourselves. So I am not for the fact that increase the term. Now, if you increase the term to, let's say, 6 years, and the person doesn't come back, compare that with 8 years. I mean, if you are sure that you do well, the second round will be easy for you. Now, I'm also happy to state, and Nanaya has said it, that the discussion as is going now, His Excellency the President has told it, he is not interested in a third term. Granted that we should all believe and trust what he's saying. Now, this discussion, I wanted to ask, assuming it has started in Jerry Rawlings' time, then President Kufuor, who was a candidate, would have said no. When he was hesitating, then he saw the wisdom in it. But all the elections we've had in this country had always been 2 terms. Yes, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama had 1 term, but he was finishing a first term of a government. Assuming the president had not passed on then, he would have done 2 terms. So for me, I think that let us have our structures in place, get the developmental goals and points clearly, that we know that this is the gate we want to reach. And when we get to that gate, however you want to open the gate, whichever political party is in power, that should be our focus.
But you also appreciate the concern, which has to do with, for instance, a president in his first term. The belief is that for every single thing he does, he does it with the elections in mind. Let me do this road, calculating the political capital that he's going to make out of it. Let me do this road. Let me fix this hospital. All with the intention of winning an election. But maybe if you have a fixed term of, say, 6 years, he knows this, look, I have 6 years. And after 6 years, I've done my work. I'm out. I don't have a 4-year, because first time 4 years, I need to do things so that I can go win an election, etc. All of that also affects the developmental decisions that the presidents make.
Yes, that is why if the president, you see, when I read Obama's book, Dreams of Our Fathers and Out of Many One, before he became president, I told myself, this guy will not be different from any other American president. Yes, and he wasn't different. I didn't see anything. I mean, we only jumped to say the black man president.
Yeah, first black president.
Yes, what else did we say? The sort of things Donald Trump is doing today, you think if he was going for another election, he would have been doing. But the bigger picture is that you are not just a president, co-president on your own. The ones we've had so far, apart from the attempt by some people to go independent, the ones we've had so far, you were on a party's ticket.
Yeah.
So even if that is your last term, the future of the party will still play a role in your mind.
Yeah.
So if that happens, where do you stand? You are going to say, clear off, I don't care, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. We saw what happened under MPP when the General Secretary even came out publicly to say, I have been arguing in cabinet meetings that do reshuffle, do this. You saw it. Because the interest of the party, he's there now. The president is gone. So even if you want to say that this is my last term, look, I don't care. I'll do whatever I want. There is a party.
The survival of the party.
Yes, that you have to contend with. But underlying all this is look, it is not only the president who thinks about the next election, even the branch chairman, the branch executive. The moment you elect, he gets in there. He's scheming how to make sure that those who contested him now will not be able to contest him the next time. And any person, Honorable is here, will tell you, before he even was sworn into office, people started his defeat. Okay, so it is not. I mean, that is how we have become.
Let me bring Honorable in. Let me bring Honorable in now. Interesting.
This is a very interesting matter. But let me say this: President John Mahama, in as much that lawyer and Nanaya have said that it is not an interest for President John Mahama. We are not discussing it because of him. In as much that some certain group of people are calling for it. Some men of God, people who claim they have been called by God, They are doing God's work.
God called them. Were you there?
I was not there. You and I were not there when God called them. They are saying God called them. I'm saying that they are saying that it's not because of their utterances, but it's something that needs to debate and talked about it. I agree with lawyer Enana and Musa Dankwa with some of the issues that they have raised. But a question that we need to ask ourselves, how many countries have a 4-year term renewable for the president or whoever? How many countries have 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and 8 years? Let's look at all these countries and let's see the impacts in these countries. The one who had 4 years and have 2 terms, what has been the person's achievement? The one who have the 6 years not renewable, what has been the person's achievement? For me, I don't believe in 6 years or 8 years. I still believe that the 4 years mandate given to presidential candidates to become president and parliamentary still should remain for 4 years. I'm saying this because President John Mahama, let me use him, during the campaign, outlined certain things that he believed he can do within 21 days. So before even assuming office, he has some mindset that within 21 days, I'll do A, B, C, E. And there are some that he tried, that within these 21 days, he will be able to what? Do it, because he has set his mind on it. But our problem as politicians, and just as Nana said, is because lawyer picked this phone and put it here. Instead of me to carry it to you, I also want to take it back and carry it to my place before giving it to you. That is our problem. But there's a proverb in Anakan. You see, Utan Okodua, the late President Moss, that's something that personally I was happy about it. When President Kufuor was able to get this N1 interjet from Millennium Challenge account, and they were able to, he started it. He came to complete it. When commissioning it, he invited President Kufuor to come. But apart from this, from Kufuor, from John Mahama to Nanado and John Mahama today, are we seeing some of these things? No. And everybody wants to do something for them to say, look, I was just telling some people that, look, President John Mahama in his term, not as a vice president, but when he had his first term, started blocks. And what was the problem? The problem was that the increasing number of our students is rising. And then there's a need for us to get additional schools. And they say he's building 200. He ended up by building, I think, 30-something or 50-something. The continuation of John Mahama's project is supposed to be started by Nanado. Looking at where these schools are located, it will be extremely difficult for it to be a day school. Let's put up a boarding facility. So that what? It does not matter whether it started from John Mahama or it ends, but it's because of the political mischief. That is why everybody wants to do something. And last week I heard my brother Okoboy talking about Agenda 111. In fact, just this Saturday, I went to Impraiso for a funeral. So I passed Abenas Osasari constituency. And when you look at the state at which the Agenda 111 is and left, you ask yourself, I mean, why are we doing this to ourselves? It is not a matter of years. Look, as lawyer said, you can give somebody 500 years.
They will ask you 501.
I'm telling you. And you will not even see any impact of it. It's about we having the National Development Plan Commission coming out with the clear guidelines. And it should be factored in the Constitution. that, look, this is our development plan for the country, irrespective of which party. We don't need any party's manifesto because the problem is the manifesto that we always bring. We don't need your manifesto. We need the manifesto of the country. And what's the manifesto of the country? It is stated in the constitution of the country. So when you come, you have 4 years mandate. And your 4-year mandate is to what? Complete projects started by your predecessor. And President Mahama in this campaign promised Ghanaians
he said
that he was not going to start any projects hurriedly, but rather, project that has been started by President Akufo-Addo, President Mills himself, Rollins, may he so rest in peace. All these projects that have been abandoned, he's going to what? Try
and complete them.
And if I'm watching the Committee on Local Government, the chairman always asks, well, have we started a legacy project? So I asked, what legacy projects? So change. Somebody had to do something.
You have to start something.
I mean, we are not helping ourselves as a country. And that's the more reason why we always take our plates and run and go and beg for money.
Yeah.
Because if we are to put the resources in some of the projects that has been started by our predecessors. Look, me when I assume as a member of parliament, the NDC member of parliament then, Theophilus Dzimega Jnr, their regional secretary, have started a clinic at Town Council Line. And he was using his health fund to start a project. Health fund at that time was nothing. And it was in a bad state when I came in. Looking at our community, you have a lot of private hospitals. But the nearby big hospital is Kolebu. So I was like, and the community in which he built the clinic to is densely populated. When I came, so look, it is not his money. Neither was he building it for NDC. So I have to go in and make sure get it complete. I completed before leaving office. Put in beds. Today, as I'm speaking with you, the MP that also came has also started doing an extension there. It's in operation. I mean,
that's how we develop.
That's how we're supposed to, irrespective of the politics that you are doing. However, when it gets to the politics, we'll do it. But we must make sure that, look, let's do the right thing.
Yeah. Let me bring,
because there are a lot of projects that Nanado did in respect of education. Fine, we did some TVETs and other blocks, but I believe that we could have even continued and complete some of the projects of President John Mahama. President John Mahama also needs to complete some of the projects of Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo because it's of national importance to us.
Yeah, and it's a taxpayer's money.
Exactly.
Else you abandon it, it's rotten, that we need to start the project again and the cost becomes something else. Mr. Dankwa, let me come to you finally. You've heard all of them, of course. Naya Sapon also agrees with you partly, but to a very large extent, they agree with what you said. What other thoughts is running through your mind? Can you please unmute yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we all agree on something, that we need a plan that is enforceable, a plan that can be put into the constitution, and then allow the parties to give us ways of getting there. Look, when it comes to our needs for infrastructure development, health facilities, schools, roads, economic infrastructure, and so on and so forth, they are all the same for all the political parties. Now, what you see differences is some of the sort of policies that will be implemented to make things better, ameliorate the people. Those ones are policy issues that revolve around certain peripherals. But the big ticket items, that is no different from MPP, NDC, or whoever takes power. The need for a good road in Medina will not change, whether it's MPP or NDC. The need for a hospital in my village, Pramine, doesn't change, whether it's MPP or NDC. So these are the big ticket items. We must have them in the plan. Every party must then show us how they're going to get there. As for the economic policies, health policies, those peripherals, it can be allowed for them to give us innovation around those items. It is important to know that, look, yes, if you want to go to 5 years, this must be done hand in hand with the development framework. It shouldn't just be 5-year term and nothing else. If we're going to go 5 years, we must entrench that plan in the constitution so that we would enforce these things and make sure that we get the full benefit of that reform that we are intending to do.
Well, this is very insightful. Thank you very much, Mr. Dankwa. Let me just read a few messages, and then we'll just wrap up the conversation today on the show. All right, let's see a few messages on WhatsApp. Let's see what you've been making of the issues that we've been talking about today. There appears to be some consensus that, to a very large extent, is not about extension of the presidential term limit. It has to do with the development of the country. And if we have a national development plan that is binding on all the political parties, then maybe we can have a good conversation on that. Let me read some messages here. Let me start. Let me see. Okay. Quite a number of messages on the incident there. This one says, I think the president did the right thing in terminating the SML deal. And as the OSP said, the brain behind the SMLD, Ken Ofori-Atta, must face the law for such wickedness. Okay. This one says, we are fighting hard to eradicate illegal mining, and MPs under NDC regime are rather backing up this act in such a way of attacking Naimos. I'll be glad to publish the MP's name and arrest them. Elijah from Abyssine. This one says, Meshach Asante Atamasaman said, I listened to Dr. Okoboy last week on the termination of light wave contract, and you could clearly see that he was benefiting from the light wave contract. Interesting. He thought he was disgracing the health minister, but he ended up exposing himself to the whole world. Okay. And interesting. Okay, so let's see more messages. He said, the issue we face as a country is that politics has become overly dominant. An ordinary party constituency chairman wields more power than an army commander. Politicians restrict the security forces from working freely, leading to increased insecurity. The Speaker of Parliament should invite the MP to answer questions about this incident. During the 2024 election, Honorable Ayu Efere alleged that the NDC had employed foreigners for Galamsey. Now, Ebukanabe was among those arrested yesterday. Bukman Anobili says. This one says, Mr. Host, good morning. Today, the MPP man can speak in 2018, 2024. It's quiet, but today, see, is calling names of NDC MPs. We should stop this. MPP every time is doing politics. Okay, well, I didn't get the message very clearly. It says, there seems to be double standards. If the soldiers had killed the protesters from the Galamsey area, some people would have been talking human rights. But if the Galamseyers had killed them, they have killed goats, he says. The soldiers are not born by woman, right? Continue to protect the indisciplined civilian against the military. Okay, Chief Guzagbe, send that one. Okay, a few more messages here. This one says, good morning. To combat corruption, strengthening institutional framework is essential. This can be achieved by reinforcing the role of independent bodies such as the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice and the Auditor General's Office. These institutions might be adequately funded and empowered to investigate allegations of corruption. Okay, well, this one says, good morning. NDC national executives and constituency executives are all involved in Galamsey. Do you have evidence of that? And even some of their MPs are in Galamsey. Well, if you have evidence, why not share it? But our media houses are keeping quiet because some of them are being paid heavy. You just threw a jab to the media house. Christian from Sandema says, okay, this one says, Ganu from Mankarigu from Savannah region. The MP who led the mob attack against the military in Ahafuhudim, John Dramani Mahama, we are watching you. It's alleged that Collins Danda is a major Galamsey kingpin operating in the region. It's unfortunate to see illegal mining thriving this badly under Mahama's leadership. Reports also suggest that some NDC Ahafo regional executives are deeply involved in Galamsey activities. Okay. This one says, Al Hassan says, good morning, everyone. I'm very saddened and disappointed if what has been reported by Naimos and Erastus Asaridonko is true about two sitting MPs preventing Naimos team from arresting hooligans called Galamseyers. I have heard the name of Honorable Collins, and that MP who drove there should be picked up by the security forces by now. If an MP can mobilize a community to attack and prevent the state security from doing their work, it is uncalled for, he said. Are these MPs in there to disgrace the president? He asks. Okay, good morning, Joy Prime. Those calling for the extension of the presidential term of office are indirectly suggesting that we should increase the number of years we study in schools, because it is always not all the time the students or teachers are not able to finish their syllabus. Imagine having a former president with all the experience in Ghana, and yet look at how things are happening. Aziz Bayo from WA. Okay, let me read maybe 1, 2 more, and we are done. It says, Musa Abattoir in Nasawase, I believe that the 4-year mandate given to a president is enough. But looking at the kind of development and economic transformation currently impacting our lives, President Mahama truly deserves 16 years and beyond. He has proven beyond reasonable doubt that he is competent, visionary, and fully capable of getting Ghana to its rightful place among the best performing nations, he says. Akonsi Gariba, those who made so much noise about Naimos to fight Galamsey menace should bow their heads in shame. The NDC administration has done nothing new to solve Galamsey menace since they came into power, because the security agencies were used to fight Galamsey in the past. Unfortunately, some of the NDC members are involved in Galamsey, and that's why the NDC government cannot implement the state of emergency on Galamsey. Terribly, President Mahama is surrounded by sycophants, he says. This is my final message. It's from Gastiman in Brekum. The law of karma is really hitting hard in this government. All the stones they threw at the wall will definitely bounce back. I can tell you nothing will happen to this MP and Honorable Collins Dauda. The Jubilee House is aware of the kingpins. They are only using Wuntumi as a scapegoat. But they should know that what goes around comes around. And he says greetings to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Anyway, that's it. That's all we have for you on News Flash today. Honorable Nana Sapon, thank you very much for coming through today. I'm not sure what you need. You want to say?
I think we would appeal to the Speaker of Parliament. Ghana knows the standards he has always set, and we are very much proud of him. And we know that he does not condone to certain irresponsibility. Even without the request of the police or whichever institution that is supposed to deal with this matter, the Speaker himself should, in the next sitting, I don't know if it's on Tuesday, should name and shame, and his office should release him, even without a request, to the Ghana police and whichever institution it is, to investigate this matter, and that young man should help in the investigations.
Okay.
And the decision by the president on at the side of the NDC would confirm whether or not the political will he demonstrated some days back when he met the CSOs was indeed...
You're waiting to see what the president will say about this?
Yes.
All right, great. Council, we are done?
Yeah, there was something that came in the newspapers that I thought we were going to talk about. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia said, I came to serve.
Not to make money.
Not to make money. In September 10, 2014, His Excellency Nanado said, I'm not in politics to enrich myself, family, or still. I came to serve.
A familiar statement.
Yes, and we saw how
it sounds
okay.
familiar.
Interesting.
Yes, we saw how
well, Honorable.
I want to add my voice to that of Nanayao to appeal to the President and the Speaker of Parliament that if indeed we are all prepared to fight Galamsey, then this issue that happened yesterday needs to be dealt with. And I also want to make a passionate appeal to my senior and father, Collins Dauda, that the respect that he has earned in this country is a respect that can never be destroyed by this Galamsey issue. If indeed he has involved himself, then I want to plead with him that we should get this matter resolved. And also, I thank God that today, confirmed by the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, who is also the Deputy Director of Operation at the Jubilee House, can tell us that 10 months in office, the NDC now have money to give 20,000 cedis each to each constituency, the 276 constituency, every month. 20,000 Ghana cedis. I am calling on Kisia Jabin because he said the money comes from the Jubilee House. I'm calling on Kisia Jabin to invite Mustafa Bandi.
Write a petition.
To tell us who sat in Jubilee House and sent the 20,000 cities to 275 constituencies every month.
Okay.
We need to know.